Is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living, that's right, we're living limitless lives, right? And so I'm excited that you are here. I'm excited for another time for us to get to spend some time together just to pop up as we're walking through another week of fasting. I am now, right now, if you're joining me, I am now 48 hours into this week's fast. And I know there are a lot of you out there who've been fasting with us. Those of you who ended the fast, well, first, let me start this. If you're ending the fast right now, if you're ending the fast today, kudos to you. I want you to go ahead and drop in the comments. I want you to drop today in the comments to let us know that this is where you are 48 hours. If you ended your fast yesterday, and of course, some people are doing a 24-hour fast. Some people are doing a 48-hour fast. Wherever you find yourself, if you ended your fast yesterday, I want you to put yesterday. If you're ending today, put today. And if you're fasting starting today into tomorrow, I want you to put tomorrow as we continue this fast. As you know, we do a 72-hour fast once a week. There have been some times where we've adjusted that, but for the most part, 72 hours is what we're doing. And we're so excited to be able to use this amazing tool to help to right our metabolism. That is what we're working on. That is the plan. That is what we're doing right here. So shout out to everyone. If you are here with us, whatever platform you're joining us from, whether that is on LinkedIn, Twitch, if you're on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, if you're on Facebook, and of course, right here on YouTube, we welcome you to this space. Special shout out to our accelerator members. Thank you for coming through and hanging out with us and being in this space. And a special shout out to all of those of you who are joining us because you saw our content on your doctor's in your doctor's office, you saw it in the church, you saw it at the community center, or someone else invited you to this space. I'm so excited and so happy that you're here hanging out with us. And so as we walk through the space this week, we're talking about getting across that finish line, getting across the finish line. And in particular, we're talking about getting across that finish line when it comes to our health. Now, you have to understand an interesting thing that it doesn't matter where we are, right? It doesn't matter what we're doing. All of the spaces in our lives get better as we learn the tools that we need to help with our health. I'm going to pause right there for you to take that in. I want you to hear what I said. So, if you are able to manage your health effectively with the tools that we're learning, then the ripple effect affects every other area of your life. You can't have success here without that success trickling over and bumping into and going into those other places. Okay? So as you are fasting, as you are walking along this path with us, you will find that so many of those other areas will also improve. You know, we talk about the domains of health, and we walked through those before. So go ahead and watch through those. They're on the channel, by the way. Go ahead and walk through those. The domains of health are important because they are the driving force behind all the things that we do. They are the different pillars, different components of the of our lives. And so as we work on our health, as we improve our metabolism, that also improves. So at 48 hours, what's going on? We'll be back tomorrow to do a complete review of fasting, you know, how to prepare for the fast, how to get into get through the fast successfully, and then of course how to break that fast. But at 48 hours, lots of things are happening as we have hormonal changes in our body, as our insulin levels are improving, our insulin sensitivity is getting better, our blood sugars are going down, cortisol levels are going down, growth hormone is going up, autophagy is kicking in, fats being burned, the ketones are coming up, our mental clarity is increasing. So all of those are downstream effects of fasting. And so it is a fascinating way for us to right our metabolism. Now, one thing I want to talk about is the dip, right? So at 48 hours, sometimes people will feel kind of a dip in their energy, and that is primarily because of the transition that's going on as the body has transitioned from burning carbohydrates to burning fat. And now we're utilizing ketones as the primary source of energy. I liken it to in the Marvel movies where in Iron Man, Tony Stark, he develops that new arc reactor and he takes the old one out and he puts a new one in and he goes right, and you see the energy that just pulses in him. That's what's going on as your body is switching from a very um, I want to say volatile, but a fluctuating energy source that's carbohydrates to a more consistent energy source that is the ketones that come from burning fat. And could join us as we go through our check-in this evening at 9 o'clock on the channel, and we will look at what's been going on with blood sugar, so you get a better idea of what's happening with those blood sugars. So that dip happens as the body is shifting. And in our lives, right, we have projects, we've got relationship goals. The middle often feels a little interesting, right? So we got the excitement that's pushing us at the beginning, and of course, when we get to the end, or the result that we want, there's all the power that comes from that. But sometimes right here in the middle, that's where things get a little tricky, because there's the excitement has waned and we've not quite reached where we're going yet. And here is just a matter of keeping consistent and keeping that going. So what we want to do is we want to talk about that dip that's happening, whether it's in a project, whether it's in your savings, whether it's in a relationship, whether you're writing a book, whether you're building a house. And Seth Godin calls it the dip. It's the messy middle where most people quit. Mm. And we've talked about that. 90% of the way we often get, and then we pause, and then we stop, we push back. And so the dip is another place where that can happen as people are in that messy middle. Like I said, the novelty has worn off. We haven't quite gotten to where we're heading, and right now we're just in the middle of the process of going continually taking those steps one after another. And if we're going to get across that line, if we're going to get across the finish line, if we're going to get the success that we want, we've got to get through this dip, right? This dip that we're here. So how do we reframe the dip? We're going to reframe the dip, because the dip, as I mentioned in one of our episodes this week, the dip, the fasting that we're doing, it's not a punishment. Often people see this as a punishment, and I hear people say things like, oh, I messed up last night, I messed up this past weekend, so I'm going to fast. Right? So because you got slapped on the hands, we're going to fast to make up for it. Or, man, I did such a bad job. I did such a terrible job on my vacation, on my cruise, on my birthday. I'm going to have to fast for the next 3 days. So fasting is not a punishment. Fasting is a tool that you are voluntarily choosing to use to improve your metabolism. So changing that shift, that frame shift, that it is not a tool or something to be, not a tool, but it's not something to beat you over the head. It is actually a benefit that you're getting. And so reframing when you feel that dip in energy, right, helps your mind, helps your body to process that this is something that is beneficial for us. And so make sure that you, as you're going through this process, right, have a method where you are periodically reviewing. We've talked about journaling. Journaling is an excellent way of making sure that you are in the right frame of mind. One of the most important journals that I tell people to keep is the I Can journal. And the I Can journal is simply a record of all the things that you have been successful at doing. I can walk for 100 days. I can do strength training for 100 days. I can lose weight. I can show up. I can improve my blood sugar. I can, right? So all those things that are going on in your metabolism and in your life in general, it's an I can journal. And the reason that's important is because we've got these two parts of us. There's the inner critic that reminds us of the negative, reminds us of the time that we didn't succeed, reminds us of the time that we didn't complete, reminds us of the time that we failed, reminds us of the time that we committed but we didn't We didn't follow through. And then the inner coach. Now, here's the interesting thing. The inner critic seems to have like a super memory. It like has file cabinets, it's got a computer, and anytime things happen, it just goes da 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 and it finds that thing that you did. It reminds you of that thing. But somehow the inner coach has trouble with that, right? Because we all think about it. You always remember the bad things. You always remember the things where you didn't succeed. But if I ask you right now, tell me of something that you did well. You may come up with one or two or three, and then you're stuck. But the inner critic, oh man, hundreds. Oh yeah, you remember that time when you were five? Remember the time when you did this? You remember that time when you did that? You remember last week, right? And it's going on and on and on. And so the I Can journal is a way of recording those things that you can, so that when you're in this middle, when it seems like it's just humdrum, we're just going at it, right? There's no excitement. There's no right. We can look at the I Can journal and say, okay, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Oh yeah, inner critic. I'm not going to fuss with you. I'm not going to argue with you, but I just need you to look at this book right here. I need you to look at this journal so you can see all the things that I can do, right? So reframing it. So let's talk a little bit about the doorway of the dip. Here's the good news. The dip actually is a doorway. I want you to pause. I want you to think about it. So when you feel that dip, that means that you're not at the beginning, and that means that you are on the way. You're in the process. So the dip in your mind should say to you, man, I am going, right? Because if I wasn't doing it, then there wouldn't be a dip. And so the dip is actually a doorway. It's an indication that we are on the way into where we want to go. We're on the way to improving our health. We're on the way to getting better. We're on the way to righting our metabolism. We're on the way to losing that weight. We're on the way to improving that blood pressure. We're on the way to lowering that A1C. We're on the way. The dip is a doorway. Mhm. Right? So we reframe it. We reframe it, and understanding that it is already an indication. It's another thing we can put in our I Can journal. I can feel the dip. I have started. I'm on the way. I'm moving. I'm heading in that direction. Right? So the dip is very important. So psychology. Let's talk a little bit about it. Grit and resilience are forged right here. Angela Duckworth says grit is passion plus perseverance. This is the perseverance zone. So grit plus perseverance. When you accomplish something, the power that it gives you in terms of your um, self-esteem and the concepts that you have of yourself is powerful beyond measure. So right here, as you're getting through this part, this helps you down the road. But think about it. Think about what happens. How am I going to feel when I get to the end and I say, you know what? That right there, that was a tough one, but look at me. I made it through. I made it through. And we always talk about the ripple effect. We always talk about the ripple effect of how people will see and look and are observing you as you are moving through this space. There are people watching. There are people watching. And so I want you to make sure that you understand that right here at 48 hours, I mean, if you've gotten to 48 hours, incredible. If you started yesterday and you've gotten here at 24 hours, man, what a plus that is. I can journal. I can fast for 24 hours. Boom, there you go. Another entry. And then think back about all the things that you experienced in that 24 hours. You didn't eat when you were tempted to eat. You didn't break the fast. You had to find a different way of dealing with your emotions. I can deal with my emotions without food. You had to find a different way to occupy yourself. I don't have to be bored. Right? So all of those are things that you can do, and all of those are ways for us to get through the dip. And so right here, as we are at our 48-hour fasting, I want to remind you that when you feel that dip, when those thoughts come to mind, it's not an indication to stop. It's an indication to dig in. It's an indication to take one more step, to take one more drink, to last one more hour, to make one more choice for your health. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about. We're going to be doing a check-in at 56 hours as we continue our fast. Tomorrow we'll be back as we do our 72-hour fast. You get to see what I eat for the first time after 72 hours. We'll talk about how to start the fast, that is how to prepare for it, how to get through the fast successfully, and then how to break the fast. If you've not already done so, go ahead and make sure you uh, get to the YouTube channel. Our series is on the way, right? So our Move campaign, and we're gonna see if we can show you that video here in just a minute, the promo for that. But make sure that you're doing what you need to do for your health. Let's see if I believe I have it in here somewhere. If not, we'll get to the channel. Get to the channel and make sure you watch that with us. Okay. So let's see. Let's see if I can find it. And I had it here somewhere. But if we can't show it, that's okay. I want you to get there because metabolic optimization via exercise is what we're doing. It is the movement arm. A couple of weeks ago, we summarized the health action plan. Remember, there are 7 pillars in the health action plan, and the question I asked you was, what were your non-negotiables? And we came up with 3. What was your movement non-negotiable? What was your food non-negotiable? And what was your mindset non-negotiable? And the Move campaign is a way to is a way for us to utilize all of that in our health. So let's see if we can go ahead and that um, play that video. And it looks like it's not here, but that's okay. Okay, so let's get back. Let's get back here. Okay. All right. Well, make sure you get there. I do see some of our community members out there. So let me go ahead and I'm going to change this angle a little bit. And so I can get. And so Steve is saying hello to Cornelia. I'm going backwards, by the way, y'all. Cornelia says, hey, Dr. Wood and LLG. Hey, Cornelia, thank you for coming through. Steve says, looking good. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, we thought we'd do a little different view when we do this pop-up over the last couple of days. So here we are. I'm in. If I don't know if you guys have been to our office. One day I'm going to do a tour. So we just kind of walk around the office, so you get to see what it looks like in here. Now we've walked around, and as a matter of fact, for our strength, strategy, and mindset, we've been walking around, and so you probably have seen that as we are. You've probably seen that as we've done our walkings and saw some of the community in this area. So, all right. So once again, if you're fasting, go ahead and drop that. If you did yesterday, put yesterday. Today, ended, put today. Tomorrow, go ahead and put tomorrow. And then just add to the end of that how many hours. So if you did 24 hours, 48 hours, you're going to do 72 hours. You're going to do the total time with us. Now, one of the questions I get asked by a lot of people is, are you going to fast 72 hours forever? And I right now have no plans for cutting that in terms of the fast, right? So and you guys have seen, we've adjusted the fast length depending on what's been going on. When I travel, maybe I have someone come into town, and so we may end that fast, or even better, you've seen us shift the fast, right? So the reason I do my fast to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is because it's the middle of the week, and most of my family and social activities happens on the weekend, right? So Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday, and maybe going into Monday if we're traveling. So I don't want to fast during that time, right? So I get my health fast out of the way so that I can do those things. And that's built into my routine. That's not I'm getting off my fast this week so I can go and do that thing, because this is not something I jump on and jump off. It is a part of who I am. And so I'll shift it, right, over days. So sometimes there was one time we started actually on a Sunday, right? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so that on Wednesday we were traveling, and when we travel, that's a whole another conversation. But that's another way to do it. But in terms of fasting, fasting is one of our tools. Fasting fits into that food non-negotiable. Right? We talk about the movement non-negotiable. We talk about the food non-negotiable. We talk about the mindset non-negotiable. Right? That's the limitless living health action plan. And so that is what we do. And so we are in the process of fasting. So when I get that question, I don't know. Right? It is. Will I always do a 72 hour? I will continue to do fasting, whether it's a 72 hour, 48 hour. One time we did actually 106 hours. And we've got a community member actually that's on right now who did an entire week. And so, right? So one of the things is writing your metabolism. What I do want to do in the future is talk to you a little bit more about some of the complications that I've had happen to me that we have been successful in improving as a result of this process. So we've not shared, we shared that with our community members in our meetup behind the scenes, and I've commented about it on our show. Recently, went to my doctor, went to my ophthalmologist, and so those are all benefits that come from the process that we're on. Okay, come from this pathway. So anyway, well, thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. Now go live a limitless life, and we will see you tonight on our show, tomorrow for our check-in for 72 hours. Saturday night, we'll do video from the vault at 9 p.m., 6 a.m. on Sunday, This Week in Review. And then on Monday, our flagship show, Dwain Woode, MD, live at 7 p.m. Central, right here on